parents took my brother on a luxury trip and left me in a mental facility, calling it for my own good. So I packed my bags and disappeared without a word. Weeks later, police were knocking at their door. My name is Elena Hart, I'm 28. And if you think being the quiet daughter keeps you safe in this family, you've never met mine. It started 3 months ago. I'd been struggling after a burnout, long work hours, insomnia, a panic attack at the office. I told my parents I needed rest. They nodded, concerned smiles on their faces, and said, "We'll handle everything." 2 days later, they dropped me off at Rose Hill Recovery Center, a place that smelled of bleach and hopelessness. I thought it was a weekend retreat. Instead, I signed intake papers they'd already filled out for observation. That night, they posted beach selfies from Santorini. My brother, Tyler, grinning. Mom holding champagne. The caption read, "Sometimes you have to let go of the negative energy to find peace." I was the negative energy. For 7 days, I ate cold oatmeal under flickering lights, surrounded by strangers who'd been forgotten. Then one evening, a nurse whispered, "You don't belong here." She handed me a discharged patient's bag. Inside, street clothes, $50, and a phone charger. At midnight, I walked out through the side gate, heart pounding, and disappeared into the city lights. I didn't have a plan, just a promise. If they wanted peace, I'd give it to them. But it wouldn't be the kind they'd planned for. The night I escaped Rose Hill, the city felt louder than I remembered. Neon signs, car horns, and rain mixing with adrenaline. Freedom didn't feel like victory. It felt like shaking hands and an empty stomach. I took a bus to the next town over, using the $50 to buy coffee and a one-night motel room that smelled like mildew. I stayed awake all night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word my parents had said before leaving me there. "It's temporary, honey. You'll thank us later." I wanted to believe them, but when I checked my voicemail, the truth slapped me clean across the face. "We've decided not to contact her for a while," Mom's voice said. "Space might help." They weren't worried. They were relieved. The next morning, I called my old coworker, Jenna, pretending everything was fine. She hesitated. "Elena, your parents told everyone you checked yourself in. They said you had a breakdown." The lie was spreading like wildfire, neatly wrapped in sympathy. I spent the next few weeks under a fake name, working at a diner, saving every dollar, blending into a life that wasn't mine. The peace was strange, but comforting. Then one morning I saw a news alert on my phone. Local family reports missing daughter after mental health escape. Police investigating. My photo, pale, tired, terrified, filled the screen. They'd filed a missing person report. The same people who'd left me behind were now performing concern for the cameras. I stared at the screen, a slow, unfamiliar calm spreading through me. They wanted their broken daughter back? Then maybe it was time they met the version they created. By the time my story hit the local news, the comment section was full of sympathy. "Poor girl. Must be so hard for her family." Parents did what they thought was best. And there they were, my parents, standing on their front porch for interviews, eyes glassy, voices trembling, playing perfect victims. "We just want her home," Mom said into the camera. "She wasn't well. We were helping her heal." Dad added softly, "Elena is sensitive. She misunderstands love." I nearly threw the phone across the room. Love? They called abandonment love? That night, I sat at the diner counter, thinking. I'd run, I'd hidden, I'd cried, but what I hadn't done was speak. They'd written my narrative, and I'd let them. So, I opened the Notes app on my phone and started typing. My parents checked me into a mental facility under false pretenses, then left for vacation. They took my brother to Greece while I was locked inside a ward with strangers. This is what family love looks like when money buys the mask. I hit post. At first, nothing happened. Then Jenna texted, "Elena, your post's going viral." Within hours, thousands of comments poured in. People from all over were sharing their own stories of manipulation, gaslighting, and betrayal. By morning, journalists were calling me. I ignored most of them until one message stood out. We're investigating Rose Hill's unethical patient intakes. We'd like to hear your experience. For the first time, someone wanted the truth, my truth. And suddenly, I wasn't just the girl who'd been left behind. I was the evidence they couldn't silence anymore. 2 days later, I met the journalist in a small cafe outside the city, quiet, safe, neutral. Her name was Rachel Klein, a soft-spoken woman with eyes that missed nothing. She slid a recorder across the table. "You can stop any time you want," she said. I took a breath and began. I told her everything, how my parents had used my burnout as leverage, how they'd signed the papers, how I'd watched their vacation photos from a locked room. Rachel didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she said, "You know, this isn't just about your parents. Rose Hill has a pattern. We've found 3 other patients with similar stories." That hit hard. They're running a business on betrayal. She nodded. "And families like yours make it possible." I gave her copies of everything: discharge notes, fake intake signatures, even the voicemail where Mom said she needed space. Rachel promised anonymity until the piece was verified. The next morning, my inbox exploded. The exposé had dropped. The price of peace: families paying to disappear their problems. My name wasn't mentioned, but the details were unmistakable. The story trended within hours. Rose Hill's management called it a misunderstanding. Investigations opened. Sponsors pulled funding. Then, a message from Dad. "You went too far this time, Elena. We're ruined." I stared at it for a long minute before typing back. "You ruined me first. I just told the truth." For the first time in years, the truth felt heavier than guilt and infinitely lighter than silence. By the end of that week, the news cycle had swallowed my parents whole. Their names weren't printed, but people in our town connected the dots fast. Mom deleted her social media. Dad resigned early from his firm. My brother Tyler posted a single line on his profile: "Wish people would stop judging what they don't understand." But I understood perfectly. I had been their silence, until I turned it into evidence. Still, revenge wasn't as sweet as I thought. My stomach twisted every time a new article surfaced. I hadn't wanted chaos. I'd wanted closure. Then one night there was a knock on my motel door. I froze. It was late, close to midnight. When I opened it, Tyler stood there, hair unkempt, eyes tired, holding a paper bag. "Don't slam it, okay?" he muttered. "I just wanted to see you." I let him in cautiously. He handed me the bag, pastries from the same bakery we used to visit as kids. He sat down, avoiding my gaze. "They're falling apart," he said. "Mom doesn't sleep. Dad won't talk to anyone. They didn't think you'd ever go public. They didn't think I'd survive." I replied quietly. He nodded. "They messed up. But I don't think they meant to destroy you. They just didn't know how to love you." That sentence hit harder than anything, because maybe in some twisted way, it was true. He looked up finally. "Are you okay?" I thought about it for a long time before answering. "I'm not sure. But for once, I'm me." Tyler smiled faintly. "That's more than they'll ever be." And for the first time, the space between us didn't feel broken. It felt honest. After Tyler left that night, I sat awake for hours, staring at the city lights outside my window. His words echoed in my head: "They just didn't know how to love you." Maybe that was the truth. Maybe I'd spent half my life trying to translate affection from people who only spoke in control. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't family, it was Rachel, the journalist. "Elena, you might want to see this." She sent me a link to a follow-up story. Rose Hill's license had been suspended pending investigation. Former staff were testifying. One nurse, the same woman who'd whispered, "You don't belong here," had come forward confirming everything. My chest tightened. "She saved me," I murmured. Rachel's text followed. "You did that for yourself." She just opened the door. For the first time, the word saved didn't feel passive. It felt earned. Later that day, I visited the boardwalk outside the city, the one Mom used to take us to when we were kids. Families laughed, couples strolled, seagulls circled. Life went on, without apology. I bought 2 hot chocolates and sat on a bench facing the water. One for me. One for the girl I used to be, the one who believed love meant obedience. I whispered into the wind, "You're free now." A small peace settled in my chest. Not loud, not cinematic, just steady. That night, I checked my messages one last time. Tyler had sent a photo of my parents' house. The lights were off, the porch empty. His caption read, "They're quiet now. Really quiet." And for the first time, that silence didn't scare me. A month later, the investigations wrapped. Rose Hill was officially shut down. Every forged signature, every temporary hold exposed. My name stayed out of the headlines, but the truth echoed loud enough. Families began filing suits, voices rising one after another. Rachel called me that afternoon. "You started something bigger than you think," she said. "People are waking up." I smiled faintly. Maybe that's what healing looks like, noise instead of silence. When I hung up, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was from an unknown number. "Elena, it's Mom." I almost deleted it unread, but something in me hesitated. "We saw the news. We know what we did was wrong. We thought we were helping. We didn't know how else to keep you safe." It wasn't an apology. It was justification wrapped in guilt. Still, I replied, "You kept me safe from everything except you." No response followed. But for once, I didn't need one. That evening, I met Jenna for dinner. She looked at me over her glass and smiled. "You look different. Lighter." "Because I finally stopped waiting for closure from people who benefit from keeping me broken," I said. She nodded slowly. "So, what now?" I watched the street outside the window. Lights, strangers, ordinary life. Now I help others find their way out. And that night, I filed the paperwork to register a foundation in my grandmother's name, one that would support women escaping manipulative families under the guise of care. A quiet rebellion disguised as hope. Because I'd learned something they never did. You can't silence someone who finally speaks the truth. And my voice wasn't done yet. 6 months later, the foundation was running out of a small office near the coast. One desk, 2 volunteers, and a door that never turned anyone away. We called it the open gate, a nod to the one I'd slipped through the night I left Rose Hill. Every week, letters arrived from women, daughters, wives, sisters, who had been hidden away under the name of treatment. Their stories broke me and rebuilt me, piece by piece. I wasn't running from my past anymore. I was rewriting it. One afternoon, as I sorted donation forms, Tyler showed up at the door. He looked calmer, older. "Mom wanted me to tell you she's getting therapy. Real therapy." She wanted to say, "Thank you." I paused, not sure what to feel. Gratitude? Relief? Maybe both. "Tell her I hope she learns what love actually means," I said softly. He nodded. "She's trying." After he left, I walked outside. The ocean stretched wide, endless, forgiving. The wind carried the same scent as that night I escaped, but now it didn't smell like fear. It smelled like freedom. I thought of that fragile girl clutching $50 and a promise. I wanted to tell her she'd make it, that someday she'd build something unbreakable out of what they tried to destroy. The waves rolled, steady and sure. "I made it out," I whispered. "And I'm never going back." Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't anger. It's peace that never asks permission.